Hello and welcome, everybody. My name is Space Muffin, and this is the Void Playground. And we are joined by legendary guest Jumpman, as well as JD. JD, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How's everyone else doing?
We're doing good. Jumpman, how you doing?
Good.
How was SAC Anime is this weekend, right?
No, it's not until
No,
September.
Oh, September. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Well,
we still got about a month and a half to decide.
got a little bit of time. Okay, cool. So, real quick though, guys. JD, we know that you're not really the biggest Indiana Jones fan, but do you have any experience with the franchise?
I watched a little bit of it as a kid. I don't remember which one it was. I think it was the Crystal Skull or something like that.
Oh,
Watched,
that's the worst one.
yeah. So I guess that was my first one I watched, and I didn't like it. So afterwards, I didn't like the franchise afterwards.
Very sad, JD. Very sad. Jumpman, what about you? What is your Indiana Jones kind of experience?
I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think first as a kid. I think my dad showed it to me as a kid before. That was before Crystal Skull even came out. Yeah, keep in mind I was probably like 17 when Crystal Skull came out.
I was 2008. That's when Crystal Skull came out. So I did see it in theaters. But obviously I'd seen the other ones before. And okay, so let's talk about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, real quick. Before we get into Dial of Destiny, we're going to talk about all the other ones. So
Yeah,
Jumpman, Raiders of the Lost Ark, iconic movie, like even more iconic soundtrack. Probably one of the best character introductions in cinematic history. What are your thoughts on Raiders of the Lost Ark?
still the best movie in the franchise.
I would agree. It's not my favorite though. Does that make it?
Oh.
I don't know if it makes any sense what I'm saying. So it is definitely the best from a cinematic perspective, from a storytelling perspective. The movie is just fantastic. Every scene in this movie is amazing. Just
Yeah.
it really is a great movie. So I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark. For those of you who have not seen Indiana Jones, start with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, that's the first one in the franchise.
Okay, so it's the first one in the franchise, but it's not the first one chronologically.
No.
Okay, so the next movie in the franchise. Okay, so Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in 1981, June 12th. The next movie was Temple of Doom. Now, okay, so Raiders was iconic, man. This was a crazy movie. I would actually make an argument that Temple of Doom would probably be the next most important movie in the franchise because of what it did to the rating system, what it did kind of in Steven Spielberg's career. Jumpman, this is a controversial one, but how do you feel about Temple?
Temple of Doom's okay. Got short round.
Okay.
Short round.
Temple of Doom is my favorite one. Okay, I love Temple of Doom. It really has more of a 2-act structure rather than a 3-act structure. You're kind of, but I like all the risk that this movie takes. I like the fact that this movie, along with Gremlins, kind of created the PG-13 rating, right? This movie is incredibly violent, right? I mean, the first one there was violence. The first one there was, face melting stuff, but
Yes.
This one was like kind of on another level, and this one also really dealt with a lot of deep, heavy topics like child slavery and just some really like kind of like human sacrifice. Like this one was this was definitely different. And so this one actually chronologically takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a prequel.
Yep.
And I don't know, Jumpman, anything else do you want to say about Temple of Doom?
It's been so long since I've seen that one. Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade I've seen more recently.
I would say that, like, from a cinematic perspective, this is the second best movie in the franchise. I'm not saying that Last Crusade was bad, but I'm just saying from a cinematic perspective. Now, having said that, when we talk about Last Crusade, obviously we can talk about kind of the comparisons of this, but this one's kind of the black sheep of the family, though, in a lot of ways, because it's dark, it's violent, really amazing opening scene. Soundtrack, once again we got John Williams back.
Yeah,
really great. I mean, this movie did the other thing about this movie is this movie doesn't waste any time. There's barely any breathing room in this movie, which a lot of movies do that really poorly. But I think Temple of Doom, I mean, it's one of the few movies that is nonstop action, but it works still somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think in more recent years, this movie's gotten, because this used to be, like I said, kind of before Crystal Skull, this was kind of the worst one, right?
Right.
But I think over the years, people have kind of learned to appreciate this movie. Child slavery, black magic, human sacrifice, violence, all this crazy stuff. There's no Nazis in this one, so that's kind of cool. I think that this one and Crystal Skull are the only ones without Nazis.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because without Nazis. Yeah, because Crystal Skull had the Russians basically.
So moving forward, guys, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. This one is a more safe movie, probably in a lot of ways, maybe a better movie than Temple of Doom. Just the dynamic with Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. Jumpman, what are your thoughts on Last Crusade?
I enjoy Last Crusade. I mean, Sean Connery as the father of Indiana Jones, great. I'm trying to. I thought that one was a fun movie. I think Last Crusade had a little more humor than Raiders of the Lost Ark, between the father-son dynamic and.
Yeah, no, definitely, man, definitely.
Yeah, but it was definitely a fun ride.
Yeah, so the thing about Last Crusade is you kind of go back. Temple of Doom kind of takes place really in one location. I mean, there's before they get to the temple, then there's you're at the temple, right? Last Crusade is more of a traditional Indiana Jones, there's adventure. You're going from location to location. And these movies are especially Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're so quotable. You know what I mean? There's so many quotes. There's so much imagery that we use today. It's kind of incredible, and I think that I think these are some of Steven Spielberg's best movies, in my opinion. Obviously you had George Lucas producing them. You had just kind of and actually so that's something that we need to talk about that we hadn't really talked about was I think George Lucas is an incredible ideas guy. Would you, JD? How do you feel about that? That statement about George Lucas?
It's true. George Lucas does have great ideas, and majority of his work that I do like. It's just that I don't know. Indiana Jones for me doesn't really resonate with me. So, maybe I'll like to give it another try. Majority of the movies now are on Disney Plus, so maybe I'll watch the first movie and then onwards. We'll see. Yeah,
I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like I said, it is a classic, arguably one of the greatest films ever. In a lot of ways,
you definitely ought to start with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It is really good, not just from a Indiana Jones perspective, but just from a cinematic perspective. It's really incredible. Like I said, it's a. You look at the kind of character studies of character intros. You have I just watched today, actually. I watched Curse of the Black Pearl. It was in theaters again. And that iconic intro where Jack Sparrow is on the ship, you understand his character right there. Mm-hmm. Same with kind of Indiana Jones. And Indiana Jones, came out 20 plus years before Curse of the Black Pearl. And this iconic intro that, like, if you haven't even seen the movie, you know. But yeah, Last Crusade, like, fun movie, guys, really fun. Once again, amazing soundtrack. And these movies were all box office successes. In fact, I think the first 4 movies were box office successes. And we'll get to Dial of Destiny here in a little bit, but I like this one. The intro, you see River Phoenix as young Indiana Jones, and it kind of like it's kind of cool, showing him where he kind of got the hat and the bullwhip, So that's kind of cool that we get to, like, I kind of like this one because you kind of get, it's a more personal story with Indy.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, the overarching, idea of Indiana Jones is he is an archaeologist, and he has this passion for history and archaeology, and he goes on these crazy adventures, and oftentimes there are supernatural elements involved. In all the movies there are. If you read the books, which we don't have time to get into all the books, but it's a really good lore, honestly. And I'm this was made during the time of trilogies, right? And so, just a really fantastic movie, Last Crusade. So moving on to the infamous, the new black sheep of the family, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Now, fun fact, this one and Dial of Destinies are the only ones that I saw in theaters. I personally am not as hard on this movie as other people are, but Jumpman, what are your thoughts?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull would have been an all okay film for me, but the ending just really ruined it for me. Like, just seeing that giant alien spaceship out of nowhere rising from the surface. It just was so out of place and ridiculous.
Yeah. So, okay.
It's like if it wasn't for that ending, it might have been an okay movie.
Okay. So, we're going to talk about the ending of Dial of Destiny without spoiling it. So, no spoils for Dial of Destiny for those of you who haven't seen it. But as far as Crystal Skull is concerned, Harrison Ford, a little old. He's 64 years old here, it's I don't know. Like, I feel like Cate Blanchett really wasn't. I love Cate Blanchett. She's one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's amazing. Just not, like, I don't know. Her character just didn't do it for me in this movie. And there's a lot of weird stuff. There's the infamous refrigerator scene.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this movie has definitely a lot of, it's more infamous than the other ones, but I still, this movie actually, I still can watch it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? I would say it's definitely the weakest of the Cinquilogy, the 5 movies.
Yeah.
It's definitely the weakest one, but I don't know. Believe it or not, Jumpman, I kind of do like the Hangar 18 or the Area 51 kind of aspect of this movie. It takes place in the 50s, so that was kind of like of the time period. I don't know.
Yeah, but Indiana Jones is not supposed to be science fiction, though.
I agree. I 100% agree.
That's what I thought going in. Watching my first movie was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So that's what I thought. I thought it was just going to be like a archaeological type movie with a little bit of adventure, a little bit of it was. I didn't expect for it to go 180 and then like switch over to sci-fi. That's why I was like, I think that's the reason why I didn't like it, is because it caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I thought it was just a plain adventure movie.
So really, like I said, there are some problems with this movie. Really, the ending, like I said, is kind of a big one. I personally just kind of took it in. I didn't really think about it too much. A lot of movies, they have a hard time with the 4th movie. You look at the Alien franchise, Alien 4, Indy 4. Um, you know, it's kind of one of those situations where, you know,
Thor,
which one?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
That one was. Oh no, that one was pretty bad actually. I didn't really like Love and Thunder as much. But then again, the first two Thor movies weren't really amazing either.
No.
But it's really hard to catch. Like with the first three movies, they caught lightning in a bottle like 3 times, in my opinion.
Oh, Indiana Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, with the first 3 Indiana Jones movies, and with the fourth one, you know, I'm like, you know, like my mindset was like, it exists, right? Like we're you know, I wasn't expecting another Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm like, this guy's like, you know, 64 years old. I don't know. It's and then I don't know. Like Shia LaBeouf's character, like he was cool. I kind of liked the idea of him having.
Shia LaBeouf was fun to see in Indiana Jones. That was probably one of the more positive things to see in that movie for me.
Sure.
At least that was before Shia LaBeouf. Nowadays, like, yeah, we'll probably not. We'll talk about that.
So soundtrack in this movie, amazing. Like just amazing. In fact, the soundtrack is probably one of the best parts of this movie. Then again, John Williams. John Williams, for those of you who do not know, is, and we probably talked about him a little bit, you know, but he pretty much every iconic soundtrack,
Yes,
John Williams has composed.
Yeah. Let's hear. I got this. John Williams has done Star Wars. He's done Indiana Jones. He's done Jaws. Home Alone. He did Home Alone.
E.T.
E.T. Yes. Harry Potter.
Schindler's List.
Yeah. Superman.
Oh, that's right. He did Superman.
Dun 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 dun. dun.
Yeah, I mean, John Williams is mythic at this point. He goes beyond legendary. And his ability to create music. He's 91 years old, and he is on another level of composer. You know, I mean, obviously, yeah, you do have like, you know, Hans Zimmer and people like that, but really, you know, it's really really incredible. And fun fact, so this next movie we're going to talk about, Dial of Destiny, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jumpman, this is his last movie.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's the last movie for both Harrison Ford and John Williams.
So Dial of Destiny, without any spoilers, Jumpman, what are your thoughts?
I would say it's a little better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because at least I personally liked the beginning, and I liked how it ended better. Because
the first 20 minutes of this movie are incredible. Like, it's amazing, and it feels like old indie.
Yes.
You know, but then it kind of gets a little weird. I liked it overall. I liked this movie. There were some character choices that were interesting. Like Indy's kind of like an old grumpy man. I do like that they don't really shy away from his age in this movie. You know, they kind of embrace it. Mads Mikkelsen, good villain, right? Like, didn't you like Mads? Yeah.
Yes, he was Grindelwald in the final Fantastic Beasts film.
Yes, and he plays kind of like a Nazi scientist in this movie, and he is really great. Yes. I didn't really like Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character. I like her acting. I think she's a good actress, but her character wasn't.
Are we talking about Indy's goddaughter?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought like this would have been a great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she was all right, you know.
Yeah, she was like, man.
I just, you know, but overall, I think this was a good movie. So for me personally, let's talk about the ending, and then we'll kind of talk about some other stuff. But like, it was very fantastical. And there's a moment in the ending. It's like, would this happen with Indy? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, like, I don't know. This movie, like, I had mixed emotions because on one hand, it's like the last one, but on the other hand, it's like, did we need this? You know what I mean? like I'm kind of glad we got it, but like I don't know.
Yeah. I'm glad we got it just because I feel it's at least a better closing for the franchise compared to Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I
Okay,
would say.
So let's get controversial here. We're gonna get really
But-
controversial.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about a potential recast of the character if they did like a young Indiana Jones or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know how much I trust Disney. I mean, while Dial of Destiny is better than Kingdom of Crystal Skull for me, it still wasn't that great compared to the original three.
Okay, so this one is the first one to not be directed by Steven Spielberg, and also George
Yeah.
Lucas. I don't know what his involvement was. What was Lucas's involvement in this movie?
I don't think he was involved.
Wow. So there you go. I mean, James Mangold directed it. James Mangold is actually, he's a really good director. He directed Logan and Ford v Ferrari, Walk the Line, a really great movie that he directed with Joaquin Phoenix. So he's definitely a competent director. Girl Interrupted, really great movie as well that he directed. So he's definitely competent. So, you know, this movie was incredibly expensive, $300 million, one of the biggest, most expensive movies ever made. Also one of the biggest box office bombs
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think this probably is kind of the end, at least for a long time. Let's talk about Solo real quick. Is that okay? Solo, they recast Harrison Ford or they recast the character. I think there was better options. But I think overall, like Solo was okay. I just didn't think it was really necessary. But I don't know. As far as the recasting of Harrison Ford, I would be okay with it if Spielberg and Lucas were involved.
Well, granted, they're up there in age, so all three of them are really up there in age. You have to put that in consideration too.
Well, Spielberg, he's still directing, you know.
Honestly, I thought the Han Solo film was still better than the sequel trilogy.
I
Even though it was the box
can
office
agree with that.
bomb.
I can
Even
agree
though it
with
was
that.
the box office bomb.
No, I agree with it. So I don't think it was as good as The Force Awakens. I thought The Force Awakens was actually like really good.
No, it's just a rehash of A New Hope. It's just a rehash of A New Hope.
That's what I thought when I first watched it. I was like, it's a repeat of New Hope.
So when I first watched it, I wasn't thinking about that. I just kind of watched the movie for what it was. But the thing is, I think that's kind of what they were going for, is kind of like familiarity, but yeah, well, they're just trying to get us like introduced to these characters. You know what I mean?
We don't know how to write, so we'll just rehash A New Hope.
Mm-hmm. Like I've been there, done that. Type of deal.
I disagree with you guys. I disagree. I think
And
the
now
movie...
that we rehashed A New Hope, we just decided to bomb Last Jedi and.
So here's the problem. Okay, so here's the problem. Okay, episode 7 was too similar to A New Hope. That's the complaint I'm hearing from you guys. But then episode 8 wasn't similar enough. It wasn't familiar enough. It was too different. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, The Last Jedi was such a disservice to Mark Hamill.
Here's the thing, guys. I can agree with that. I think The Last Jedi, like the way they treated the characters in general, like the villain character, that really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I think as individual movies, I think they're okay. I think like taking my emotions out, but I am gonna stand by. I think that The Force Awakens is a good movie. I like the idea of like a stormtrooper, like kind of turning from the Empire. I kind of like that idea. I like the idea.
That idea is okay.
I like the idea. Oh, sorry, we're gonna say.
Oh, I'll just agreeing with you on the stormtrooper, like turning good.
Well, okay. I also like the fact that, I kind of like all the setup for like the Knights of Ren. I kind of like that. Like kind of like why did Luke leave the Jedi Order? Like obviously in the context of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, yeah, it makes the movie like I think it kind of hurts the movie a little bit more, right? But
Luke left the Jedi Order because he was afraid of training a new Sith Lord. That's essentially what it was.
Yes, and I like
and which is focus because he was willing to confront and kill his father in the Return of the Jedi.
The point I'm trying to get at is I think that The Last Jedi is probably the worst of the sequel trilogy.
Yes.
Like my main problem with The Last Jedi is that it's like they didn't have like a plan. It seems it just seems like like J.J. Abrams pulls it one way, Rian Johnson pulls it in another way, and then J.J. Abrams kind of tries to pull it back. But I'm gonna stand by The Force Awakens being a good movie, and kind of going back to like Indiana Jones, right? Disney, like I think their biggest problem right now is they're focused on like it's hard because it's like they want to please the fans, right? They want to make money, but also at the same time they want to make a good movie or do something good. So it's a balancing act, you know what I mean? And so I think Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny definitely plays it more safe than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Would you agree with that, Jumpman?
The Dial of Destiny plays it more safe than Kingdom of Crystal Skull. Is that
yeah, like I would argue that.
Maybe a little bit.
Well, just because you don't have like any like I mean like the plot device.
I guess I would say so only because the whole sci-fi aliens aspect and the Kingdom of Crystal Skull was too ambitious. It was too different. So I would say playing it safe, but in this case, playing it safe works.
It did. I agree. It works. It definitely works better. Where'd JD go?
I mean, it still had a little bit of that sci-fi aspect towards the end.
I mean,
it was a better, but it was a little more palpable.
Sure, I can agree with that. And I think comparing Indy to Star Wars, and really like when you look at like franchises, and this is what I've realized, like fans, the biggest fans of a franchise, I may have said this before, but the biggest fans of a franchise hate the franchise the most. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay.
Maybe.
Okay. So here's why I say this. Okay, Star Wars fans hated the prequels, right? And now obviously we hate the sequels. Indiana Jones fans hated Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. In fact, a lot of them hated Temple of Doom, right? Alien fans hate Alien Covenant, right? Like, because it kind of like messes with the lore of Alien. And Harry Potter fans, like we hate, like we're not like the biggest fans of the newer what's the Fantastic Beasts film. So like I think there's like
I don't know. I enjoyed the Fantastic Beasts films overall.
I think overall they're good movies, but like I think like part of it is once again like how many times can you make the greatest movie of all time, right?
Yeah, well, they're not as good as the Harry Potter films, but I would still say the Fantastic Beasts films are still okay. The first and the third Fantastic Beasts film, I should say, were pretty good. The second one had issues with writing, I would say that.
Yes, and I guess the point that I'm saying is that the thing that I would say is like, oh god, how do I say this? It's just hard to catch lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? Like Toy Story is one of those franchises. I'm like, dude, like how many times are you guys gonna keep like trying to make like one of the, like, you know what I mean? Like, how are you guys gonna like keep doing this, right?
Toy Story 5, I can't believe it. 4
is good, but it's definitely like you're starting to see the cracks, right?
They shouldn't have even made 4. They shouldn't have even made 4.
Well, okay, like let's look at The Godfather, right? Like The Godfather Part 3 is often considered to be like the bad one, but even that movie is really good. But it's just people are like they're comparing it to literally two of the greatest movies ever made, right? So it's like I think there is now obviously like Indiana Jones, it really does. They're really not comparable. Like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny really don't really live up to the original trilogy, in my opinion. But that's just because the original trilogy was just so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard to like kind of replicate that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And Spielberg, you look at like kind of like the headspace that Spielberg was in during the time of, you know, kind of, you know, really the 80s and kind of his filmmaking style and really his thought process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Temple of Doom, a movie like Temple of Doom, or even like Raiders of the Lost Ark, wouldn't be made today under Disney. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, just like that. Even Last Crusade. You know, like where you literally see Hitler, and there's a lot of that imagery. I just don't think you would see it. You know. But I don't know. I think Indiana Jones will forever be one of those like iconic franchises. I think it's gonna, you know, it's gonna forever be ingrained in cinematic history.
Yeah.
So real quick though, Lego Indiana Jones. Did you play that game?
No, I have not.
Oh, I heard it was like one of the better Lego games.
I've heard it is too. So what happened to JD? Where did he go?
That is the mystery, guys. What happened to Indiana Jones and what happened to JD? Like,
yes,
that's gonna be the next movie. I think his computer crashed. He was saying so.
Uh-oh.
But I don't know, guys. So I don't know, guys. Let us know. Like, go see Dial of Destiny. If you haven't watched the first 4 movies, go check it out on Disney Plus. Let us know your comments. Let us know what you guys think.
Or just wait for Dial. Oh yeah. Or just wait for Dial of Destiny to come out on Disney Plus.
That's true. Yeah, you can wait for it to come out. But yeah, guys, I think like if you're fans of adventure movies, like this is, I think Indiana Jones, the first 3 movies are the gold standard of adventure movies. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I mean, what have we gotten since? I mean, there's Crocodile Dundee. There's really no other like franchise films that really quite capture the adventure like Indiana Jones.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have like the sci-fi adventure stuff, and you have, but like really like the, you know, like the Tomb Raiding. Oh, speaking of Tomb Raider, like Tomb Raider kind of like is heavily inspired by Indiana Jones, actually.
Oh yeah. Well, so is the Uncharted movie that came out.
And yeah, so is Uncharted. Yeah, that franchise is very, very heavily inspired by Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have a lot of like you have a lot of, kind of inspiration and things that came out of this stuff. But anyways, Jumpman, closing thoughts.
I don't know. Go see Dial of Destiny. I guess I think it's a fun movie to see. I saw it in theaters.
I would agree.
Or just wait for it to come on Disney Plus.
I agree 100%. Well, anyways, guys, this is the Void Playground. My name is Space Muffin. This is Jumpman. JD is not with us. He kind of dipped out. But go check us out on Spotify. Go check us out on Apple Music. Go check us out on Google Podcasts. Oh, by the way, guys, we have 100 subscribers. So congratulations. As of right now, we have 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much for your support. We're going to see you guys again at 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, we really appreciate you guys' support and all that fun stuff. So
please subscribe.
Yeah, so you guys take it easy. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one.
All right.